The evening air in Millbrook was crisp as Emma Thompson walked down Maple Street. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she carried 3 heavy law books. The black blazer she wore was perfectly pressed, and her briefcase swung gently at her side. She had just spent 4 hours at the library researching her latest case about housing discrimination. Emma was tired but satisfied with her progress. The street lamps cast long shadows across the sidewalk. It was nearly 8 o'clock. As the shops were closing, Emma could see Mr. Roberts putting away chairs outside his cafe. She waved and he smiled back. She loved this town, had grown up here, and returned after law school to make it better for everyone. As she approached the corner of Oak and Maple, a police car slowed down beside her. Emma didn't think much of it at first. Police often patrolled this quiet neighborhood. But then the car stopped and Officer David Miller stepped out. Emma had seen him around town before. He was known for his serious face and direct manner. "Excuse me, Ma'am," Officer Miller called out. His hand rested on his belt. Emma stopped and turned. "Good evening, officer," she said politely. "Can I see some identification?" he asked. His eyes moved up and down, studying her clothing and briefcase. "Of course," Emma said, shifting her books to one arm. "May I ask what this is about?" "You match the description of someone we're looking for," Miller said, though he didn't explain further. Emma felt her heart rate increase, but she kept her voice calm. "I'm Emma Thompson. I'm Mayor Thompson's daughter. I was just at the library." "I still need to see your ID," Miller insisted, his tone becoming sharper. Emma carefully set her books down on a nearby bench. She reached into her pocket for her wallet. Her hands shook slightly, not from fear but from growing frustration. She had faced this kind of situation before, but not in her own hometown. "Here it is," she said, holding out her license. But Officer Miller didn't reach for it. Instead, he stepped closer. "Put your hands where I can see them," he ordered. "Officer Miller, I'm just trying to show you my ID like you asked," Emma responded, her voice steady but tinged with disbelief. By now, Mrs. Williams had noticed the commotion from her corner shop. She stepped outside, her face showing concern. Tom Harris, a college student who lived down the street, also stopped to watch. Both pulled out their phones, sensing something wasn't right. "Ma'am, I need you to cooperate," Miller said, his hand now hovering near his handcuffs. Emma felt tears forming in her eyes, but she blinked them back. "I am cooperating. I'm Mayor Thompson's daughter. Please, just look at my ID." The license still extended in her hand, shaking now. Miller reached for his handcuffs instead. "Turn around," he commanded. "This is wrong," Emma said quietly, but she complied. The metal clicked around her wrists with a sound that echoed in the quiet street. Her briefcase fell to the ground, spilling papers everywhere. Mrs. Williams gasped from her shop doorway. "Officer Miller, that's Emma Thompson. I've known her since she was this tall." She held her hand at waist height. Tom's phone captured everything. His hands trembled as he recorded the scene unfolding before him. Emma kept her head high as Miller guided her toward his patrol car. Inside her chest, her heart pounded, but she refused to let her voice crack. "I need to call my father," she said. "You'll get your phone call at the station," Miller replied curtly. As Emma sat in the back of the police car, she looked out the window at the books scattered on the sidewalk. They were about civil rights law. The irony wasn't lost on her. She thought about all the cases she'd read about people in similar situations. Now she was living it. The car door slammed shut. Emma took a deep breath. She thought of her parents, how they'd react when they found out. Her father, who had worked so hard to improve relations between the police and the community. Her mother, a doctor who treated Officer Miller's own wife just last month. Through the car window, she watched Mrs. Williams gathering her books. Tom was still recording, his phone capturing Miller's face as he returned to write something in his notebook. Other residents began appearing from their homes, drawn by the commotion. As the car pulled away from the curb, Emma whispered to herself, "I'm being arrested because I'm walking while black." Her heart felt heavy with disappointment. This was her hometown, where she'd hoped to build a practice that would help people, where she'd dreamed of raising her own family someday. Now, sitting in the back of a police car, with handcuffs cutting into her wrists, she wondered if that dream could survive this moment. The radio crackled. Dispatch was calling Officer Miller. But Emma couldn't hear the words clearly. She closed her eyes and tried to steady her breathing. Whatever happened next, she would handle it with the grace her parents had taught her. But inside, a small voice asked the question that haunted many people who looked like her. How many more times would she have to prove she belonged in her own hometown? The end. The police station buzzed with its usual evening activity. Officers came and went, filling out paperwork and grabbing coffee. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead as Officer Miller led Emma through the heavy glass doors. She kept her head up, though her wrists ached from the handcuffs. Behind the front desk, Sergeant Robert Green looked up from his computer. He was filling out duty rosters when movement caught his eye. As Emma entered, their eyes met. The color drained from Robert's face. His coffee mug stopped halfway to his mouth. "Emma?" Robert stammered, nearly dropping his mug. He had known her since she was 10 years old, when he used to patrol the neighborhoods where she played hopscotch with other kids. Miller stopped, confused by the sergeant's reaction. Emma stood quietly, her professional blazer now wrinkled, her heels making soft clicks on the linoleum floor. "Sergeant Green," Emma said calmly, "it seems there's been a misunderstanding." "Miller, what's going on here?" Robert's voice shook slightly. He stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "She matched a suspect description," Miller explained, but his voice lacked conviction now. Robert moved around the desk. "Emma Thompson, Mayor Thompson's daughter, the civil rights lawyer." Miller's face grew hot. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Emma spoke before anyone else could. "I want to be processed exactly like any other person you bring in. No special treatment." Her voice was firm but controlled. Robert hesitated. "Emma, you don't have to—" "Please," she interrupted. "I want everything. Done by the book, fingerprints, mugshot, everything." 20 minutes later, Emma sat in the holding cell. She had refused to call her attorney, saying she wanted to experience what countless others went through. The metal bench felt cold beneath her. She closed her eyes and let the memories wash over her. She was 14 again, walking home from summer band practice. 2 officers had stopped her on Wilson Avenue, claiming she looked suspicious. They searched her backpack, dumping her flute and sheet music on the sidewalk. No apology came when they found nothing. She was 17, working her part-time job at Henderson's ice cream parlor. A customer complained she had overcharged them by $2. Officer Jenkins arrived, handcuffs ready, even though Mr. Henderson explained it was a simple register mistake. Those moments had burned inside her. They fueled late nights studying for the SAT, countless hours in libraries, and the determination that carried her through law school. She had returned to Millbrook with one purpose: to ensure no child would face what she had faced. Outside the station, 3 news vans pulled up. Cameras pointed at the building as reporters scrambled to set up. Word traveled fast in Millbrook. Officer Miller noticed the commotion through the window. His hands trembled as he filled out the arrest report. Each word felt heavier than the last. At Thompson family home, the phone rang. Mayor John Thompson answered, expecting a call about tomorrow's budget meeting. Instead, he heard Robert Green's worried voice explaining the situation. "I'll be right there," John said, his voice steady but his mind racing. He hung up and looked at his wife, Sarah, who was reading a medical journal. "It's Emma," he said simply. Sarah's eyes widened. 10 minutes later, a modest sedan pulled up to the station. No mayoral insignia, no official plates. John Thompson stepped out wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt. Sarah followed, still in the casual clothes she wore for reading at home. Inside, Emma heard familiar footsteps. Her father's brown shoes appeared outside the cell. Through the bars, their eyes met. John's jaw tightened, but his voice remained calm. "Emma, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Dad," she replied. "I wanted to be processed properly." Sarah appeared beside her husband. A doctor for 30 years, she had treated countless patients, but seeing her daughter behind bars broke her professional composure. Tears welled in her eyes. She reached through the bars, touching Emma's hands. "My strong girl," she whispered. "Mom, don't cry," Emma said softly. "This is why I became a lawyer. This is what we're fighting against." In the main office, Sergeant Green approached Officer Miller. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" His voice was low but urgent. Miller's face was now completely pale. He watched the scene with Emma's parents, realizing the depth of his error. The suspect description he claimed to have received was vague at best. He knew it, had known it even when he approached her on Maple Street. Outside, more residents gathered. Mrs. Williams had called her church prayer group. Tom Harris shared his video on social media. Within an hour, the hashtag #JusticeForEmma began trending in Millbrook's online community. Through the station window, Emma could see the growing crowd. Some held signs saying, "We stand with Emma," and "End racial profiling." Others clutched candles as evening deepened. Robert returned to Emma's cell. "Your parents are demanding your release. The charges will be dropped." Emma stood slowly. "Not yet. I want to file a formal complaint first. Everything must be documented." She looked at her father through the bars. "This isn't just about me anymore, Dad. It's about everyone who looks like me and faces this every day." John Thompson nodded slowly. As mayor, he had promised change. As a father, he was witnessing his daughter demand it. The end, the Channel 7 Evening News opened with Tom's video. The grainy footage showed Emma in her black blazer, hands raised peacefully before the handcuffs clicked around her wrists. Anchor. Margaret Stevens spoke clearly. Local lawyer Emma Thompson, daughter of Mayor Thompson, was arrested yesterday evening. The video has sparked conversations across Millbrook. Families across town stopped eating dinner to watch. Children asked their parents why the lady was taken away. The video replayed 3 times during the broadcast. By Saturday morning, Main Street filled with people. They had created signs overnight. Mrs. Williams carried one reading, "Emma represents," thus in her shaky handwriting. Tom and his college friends held Justice for All high above their heads. Pastor Michael from First Baptist led a prayer circle. More than 200 people marched slowly down Main Street. Store owners opened their doors to offer water and bathrooms. The march was peaceful, organized by community leaders who had known Emma since she was a child. Officer Miller watched from inside the station. His stomach churned as he recognized faces in the crowd. There was his neighbor, Mr. Johnson, his daughter's English teacher, Ms. Peterson, the woman who sold him coffee every morning at the corner cafe. That evening, Emma received a phone call. "This is Lisa Miller," a hesitant voice said. "I'm David's wife. Could we meet? I need to talk to you." They met at Miller Park, away from cameras. Lisa brought her 16-year-old daughter, Kate. Both wore simple clothes and looked nervous. "I'm sorry," Lisa began immediately. "David, he's not a bad man, but he grew up in a different time." Kate spoke up, her voice quivering. "Grandpa always said things about people who looked different. Dad he never thought to question it." Emma listened quietly as Lisa explained. "David's father was Chicago police in the 60s. He taught David that certain people were troublemakers. David's been repeating those same ideas for 20 years. I never realized how wrong it was until I saw you on TV," Kate added. "You're a lawyer, you went to college, you help people. You're nothing like what Grandpa described." Emma felt something shift inside her, anger mixed with understanding. "What made David decide to become a police officer?" she asked. "To help people," Lisa answered. "He really wanted to make things better. But somewhere along the way, those old teachings took over." Monday morning, Emma met with the police chief and city council. Instead of filing a lawsuit, she presented a folder of documents. "I propose building bridges in Millbrook," she explained. "Officers spend 4 hours every month volunteering in the neighborhoods they patrol, not as police but as community members, coaching youth sports, helping at food banks, reading to children at the library." Chief Peterson considered this. "You mean officers would work alongside residents?" "Yes," Emma continued. "They'd wear regular clothes, no uniforms, just neighbors helping neighbors. It builds real relationships before emergencies happen." The council room buzzed with discussion. Councilman Richard Barnes spoke first. "This seems like a waste of resources. Officers should be fighting crime, not playing games." But Emma was prepared. "Studies show communities with stronger police-resident relationships have 30% lower crime rates. When people trust officers, they share more information. They cooperate during investigations." Mayor Thompson stood up. "I fully support my daughter's proposal." His voice carried authority. "But this isn't because she's my daughter. It's because she's right. We need change in Millbrook. Barnes interrupted. Again. You're letting personal feelings cloud your judgment, John. This makes us look soft on crime. The mayor's eyes hardened. The hardest thing isn't arresting people, Richard. It's preventing the situations that lead to arrests. Emma's plan addresses the root problem. Local news cameras captured the heated debate. The community watched their leaders argue about the future of policing. That weekend, the first test run began. Officer Miller, still on paid leave pending investigation, volunteered at the community center. He wore jeans and a t-shirt, no badge or gun. Emma introduced him to the Saturday art program for teenagers. This is David, she told the group simply. He's here to help paint the community mural. Kayla, a 15-year-old artist, handed him a paintbrush. We're painting what makes Millbrook special, she explained. For the next 2 hours, Miller helped paint. He talked with teenagers about their favorite teachers, their dreams for college, their worries about their neighborhoods. For the first time, he saw them as individuals, not potential problems. At 4 o'clock, the group stepped back to admire their work. The mural showed the library, the park, the corner shops, and people of all colors working together. You did good work today, Kayla told Miller as they cleaned brushes. Something broke inside him. I'm sorry, he said, his voice cracking, for everything. The following week, Mayor Thompson held a press conference. Media from surrounding towns gathered on the City Hall steps. Change is never easy, he began, but Millbrook chooses healing over hatred. My daughter has shown us a path forward. Building bridges starts officially next month. Every officer will participate. He paused, looking directly at the cameras. To any who say this makes us weak, I say understanding makes us stronger. When we replace fear with friendship, we create a community where everyone belongs. Behind him, Emma stood quietly. She thought of the generations before her who had fought for this moment. Change was coming to Millbrook, one relationship at a time. The end officer Miller arrived at the Millbrook Community Center for his first Saturday shift. He carried no gun, wore no badge, just jeans and a plain t-shirt. Emma had suggested he teach basic self-defense, something he knew well from his training. The gymnasium echoed with children's voices. Miller watched Emma setting up chairs for her legal advice table. She caught his eye and gave a small nod. No smiles yet, but acknowledgement. Everyone, this is David, Emma announced to the group of 20 teenagers. He'll teach self-defense twice a month. Please welcome him. The teens studied him carefully. Some recognized him from the arrest video that had circulated online. Others simply saw a middle-aged man who promised to teach them something useful. First rule, Miller began, his voice steady but softer than usual. Self-defense is about escape, not fighting. It's about getting home safely. He demonstrated basic blocks and strikes. To his surprise, the teenagers engaged. They asked questions, practiced moves, even laughed when they made mistakes. For 2 hours, he was just an instructor, not Officer Miller. After class, a girl named Shanice approached him. My dad says police can't be trusted, she said simply. Miller considered his response carefully. Your dad has reasons for feeling that way. Many people do. I'm here to learn as much as to teach. Emma had been listening nearby. She walked over with 2 water bottles, offering one to Miller. It was a small gesture, but he accepted it as a peace offering. 3 weeks later, Emma launched her dinner workshops. She called it Breaking Bread, Building Bridges. Mrs. Williams offered her Victorian house on Oak Street, with its large dining room and welcoming front porch. The first dinner brought together 6 police officers and 6 community members. Emma had carefully chosen each person. She invited Officer Jenkins, who had harassed her as a teenager, alongside Mrs. Williams, who had known Jenkins since he was a boy. The dining room smelled of roast chicken and cornbread. 10 people sat around Mrs. Williams's grandmother's oak table, shifting nervously in their seats. Tell us why you became a police officer, Emma suggested to Officer Jenkins. Jenkins spoke slowly. My brother was killed in a robbery. I wanted to protect people. I lost my son too, said Mr. Roosevelt, an elderly man Emma had invited. Different circumstances, but the same pain. Conversations began to flow. Officers shared frustrations about paperwork and dangerous calls. community members, spoke about feeling unsafe, about past experiences with police. By dessert, Jenkins and Mr. Roosevelt were discussing their shared love of fishing. Officer Miller attended his third dinner on a rainy Tuesday. He sat across from Tom, the student who had recorded Emma's arrest. "I was angry when I filmed that." "Night," Tom admitted. "My cousin had a bad experience with police last year." Miller set down his fork. "I'm sorry. For your cousin. For Emma. For everyone I've hurt without realizing it." As weeks passed, transformations occurred quietly. Miller began recognizing people from self-defense class during his regular patrols. Instead of suspicion, he felt familiarity. He called them by name, asked about their classes, their families. At the fourth dinner workshop, Miller stood up unexpectedly. The room fell silent. His hands shook slightly as he gripped the back of his chair. "I need to say something publicly," he began. "Growing up, my father taught me that certain people were dangerous. I never questioned those teachings. They became part of how I saw the world." Emma watched him carefully. "Everyone did. I was wrong," Miller continued. "I hurt people. I hurt this community. Emma Thompson deserved respect that night, not handcuffs. She asked for change, not revenge. That's strength I'm still learning to understand." His voice cracked. "I'm sorry to everyone I've profiled, everyone I've treated unfairly. I can't change the past, but I'm trying to change myself." The room remained quiet for a moment. Then Mrs. Williams reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "Growth is always possible, David. We're all learning." At school, Miller's daughter Kate started a lunch group called Millbrook Unity. Students from different backgrounds gathered weekly to share perspectives. Kate invited everyone, from the star athletes to the quiet kids who ate alone. She designed T-shirts that read, "Different faces, same heart." The shirts sold quickly. Kate donated profits to the community center for Emma's legal aid program. The police department officially adopted monthly community service. Officers could choose activities, coaching basketball, reading at libraries, helping at food banks, or working in school gardens. By November, something remarkable happened. The monthly crime report showed a 15% decrease. But more importantly, the nature of police calls changed. People called for help, not just in emergencies, but for minor issues too. They stopped seeing officers as outsiders to avoid, and began viewing them as neighbors who could help. Chief Peterson reviewed these statistics at the monthly town meeting. "Crime rates improve when trust improves," he announced. "Our officers aren't just enforcing laws, they're building relationships." Emma sat in the audience, watching her plan take shape. She thought of the 14-year-old version of herself, scared and angry after being stopped by police. That girl wouldn't recognize this Millbrook, where officers knew children's names and helped with homework instead of demanding IDs. Miller, now reinstated from suspension, volunteered every Saturday at the community center. He and Emma worked side by side, he teaching self-defense, she offering legal aid. They weren't friends yet, but they shared a purpose, building a better Millbrook. 1. Saturday afternoon, Miller finished teaching and approached Emma's table. A line of residents waited for free legal advice. "Can I help set up for next week's dinner?" he asked. Emma looked up from her notebooks. For the first time since the arrest, she smiled at him. "Yes, we could use extra hands." It was a small smile, but it represented something larger. The possibility that communities could heal, that people could change, that justice could mean restoration instead of revenge. The end. The spring sun warmed Main Street as officers from South, 3 neighboring counties filled the community center auditorium. Emma Thompson stood at the podium, no longer just a local lawyer but a recognized trainer in police community relations. "Good morning," she began. "Today's workshop will challenge how you see the badge you wear. Your job isn't just to protect, it's to connect." In the back row, Officer Miller took notes like any other recruit. Though he now returned as a teaching assistant, he still learned something new each session. His experiences had become case studies that other departments wanted to replicate. After the morning session, Emma and Miller walked together to Mrs. Williams's corner shop. The small bell above the door chimed as they entered. The shop had transformed into an unofficial community meeting place. 3 small tables now occupied the front corner, where officers regularly stopped for coffee breaks. "The usual?" Mrs. Williams called from behind the counter. She poured coffee into mismatched mugs without waiting for an answer. Officer Patricia Ross sat at one table, reviewing homework with 9-year-old Marcus. His mother worked double shifts at the hospital, so Patricia tutored him twice a week. At another table, Officer Jenkins played chess with Mr. Roosevelt, their weekly Tuesday match. "Check," Mr. Roosevelt announced. Moving his knight, Jenkins studied the board. "You're getting better." "Or you're getting worse," Mr. Roosevelt teased. They both laughed. Emma watched this scene with quiet satisfaction. 8 months ago, Jenkins had been the officer who searched her backpack when she was 14. Now he was mentoring neighborhood children and playing chess with community elders. Outside, preparations for Millbrook's annual harvest fair bustled with activity. Volunteers hung banners, while food trucks positioned themselves along the park perimeter. Police officers worked alongside residents, setting up game booths and testing carnival rides. "Mom, the microphone isn't working," Kate Miller called from the main stage. She had taken charge of the youth talent show, a new fair addition this year. "Try the backup," Miller responded, jogging over to help. Parent and daughter worked together, testing sound levels. Kate's Millbrook Unity Club had grown to 50 members, representing every school grade and neighborhood. By noon, hundreds of families filled the fairgrounds. The Ferris wheel turned slowly against the blue sky. Children lined up for face painting, while their parents bought cotton candy and fried dough. Chief Robert Green approached the microphone for the annual award ceremony. "We gather today to celebrate our community spirit," he announced. "This year has shown us remarkable change." He paused, scanning the crowd. Emma stood near the stage, wearing a simple blue dress instead of her usual lawyer attire. Miller positioned himself with other officers along the side. "The Bridge Builder Award recognizes someone who connects people across differences," Chief Green continued. "This year's recipient transformed our approach to public safety." Applause began before he finished. Parents lifted children for better views. Teenagers whistled. Mrs. Williams wiped her eyes with her shop apron. "Emma Thompson, please come forward." Emma climbed the stage steps as the crowd's applause grew louder. She accepted the glass plaque, shaped like 2 hands reaching toward each other. "Thank you," she said into the microphone. The fairgrounds quieted. 8 months ago, I experienced something hurtful, but that night planted seeds of change. When one person chooses understanding over anger, it spreads like ripples in a pond. She spotted her parents in the front row, her father dressed in casual clothes, not his mayoral suit, her mother still in scrubs from her morning hospital shift. "Millbrook taught me that healing begins with hard conversations," Emma continued. "It happens when we share meals, learn each other's stories, and remember our common humanity." In the poor officer section, Miller felt emotions rising. He remembered that night, how his hands had trembled while filling out Emma's arrest report, how it had kept him awake for weeks. "Every challenge holds the seed of transformation," Emma concluded. "Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is choose compassion when we could choose conflict." The crowd erupted in applause. Miller joined in, clapping with intensity. Tears rolled down his cheeks, but he didn't hide them. After the ceremony, the fair continued with renewed energy. Miller found Emma near the carousel, watching children ride painted horses up and down. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" Emma asked. "For seeing past what I did, for helping me become better." Emma nodded. We all needed to become better. As evening approached, the Ferris wheel glowed with colorful lights. Families gathered for the closing fireworks display. Police officers sat among them, not as enforcers but as neighbors. From the Ferris wheel's peak, Miller rode with his daughter Kate. They could see the entire town spread below, the library where Emma had been heading that fateful night, the police station where change had begun, Mrs. Williams' shop where connections now flourished. "Dad," Kate said softly, "are you happy you changed?" Miller watched the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Below, Emma helped elderly residents find comfortable spots for fireworks viewing. Officer Jenkins played tag with a group of children. The community moved together in harmony. "More than I ever imagined possible," he answered. The first firework exploded overhead, painting the sky with golden sparks. In Millbrook, the night no longer held fear. Officers and residents watched the display together, friends sharing a moment of beauty. The streets of Millbrook had become safer, not through stronger enforcement but through understanding hearts. Change had come quietly. One conversation, one shared meal, one act of compassion at a time. As the final firework faded into the darkness, its light reflected off faces of every color, every background, united in the simple joy of community. This was Millbrook now, a place where differences brought strength, where trust replaced suspicion, and where every person belonged. The end.